know a lot of people. One day it could be a carpenter, the next day a police officer, the next day rhythm,
Yes.
the next day it could be a scientist, and so forth, and have them speak about how they got to that place.
Right, great idea.
While they're having lunch, and then answer questions. And if any young person would like to engage in that field, they would write down their name and they'd start communications, because what's the best reference in getting into that field is somebody who has been successful there.
Yes.
And that starts the relationship. It's exciting. It's what driving a young person, because they all have thoughts.
Yes.
And we're too focused on making the grade. In other words, you got to pass the test. You got to pass the test. It's important to study.
Yes,
and it's
definitely
important to go to college. But you know what? My wife is a public school teacher. And she tells me every young person has, or every person has, different intelligences.
Yes.
Some have analytical intelligence, where they're good with math and figuring things out on paper. Some have imagination. They're good with art.
Right, artistic.
And
yes.
some have intelligence of the hands. I can't build a cabinet, I'll tell you that. It'll end up looking very funny. But if you maximize, we can't all be scientists.
Yes, this is true.
There's nothing wrong with being a mason, a truck driver, an artist, a musician.
Right, we should have options.
We should have options.
Yes.
And maybe college isn't the only thing out there. There are trade schools, which we need, art schools, all sorts of things. And one of the things I'm very have a great relationship with the labor unions in our county.
Yes.
And in our city, municipal and the trades, meaning the painters, the carpenters, and masons, and so forth. They would be more than happy, and I've spoken to some of them already, to bring and develop a school program outside where young people can learn to maximize their capabilities in building something.
This is
and
great.
Start a career. Because let me tell you, some of these people, artisans, are making a splendid living. They got a piece of America. They've got ownership, and they're living a good life. And from there, who knows? So there are so many different ways to work. Now, another idea I have for young people is every government agency, aren't you glad you asked?
Yes, continue.
Every government agency has problems.
Yes.
Mine would have problems. We all have problems. Nothing is perfect. There's always room for improvement. But one of the things is you want to be able to find out honestly what's wrong with the system.
Right.
And the best way to do it is to get a young person who is looking to grow, to learn, and is still somewhat innocent.
Yes.
Bring in some of our brightest young people who wish to volunteer for this. Bring in a retired business person, and together, young and old, work together. I would assign them to one department. They may not know a lot of things, and it may upset some people.
Right.
But let them sit in that department for a month, twice a week, whatever it is, and jot down what they think could be improved, or what's wrong, or who's doing what. Not in a spying way, but waste of energy, a waste of too much bureaucracy. We have too many rules.
Right.
Let things happen.
Right. Let it flow. Let it be, be natural.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We need to we stymie development programs sometimes with so many different ideas of rules, laws, legislation, some of which we could start to trim down a little bit so that we can actually get somewhere.
Right.
And it's nice to protect the people and safety and all that. I'm all for it.
Yes.
But there are faster ways to streamline, because I'll give you an example. In business, a developer might want to build something. Now he has an environmental test
Yes.
is being taken. That could take up to 12 months. In the meantime, the financing in the bank is drying up, and he can't go ahead, and now the whole thing is dead. Because we're just waiting for meetings and decisions.
Right.
Instead
Prolonging.
of let's move ahead and still get it done the way what the public wants, as far as safety is concerned and environmental concerns, but just not stalling things. So, our young people can help us. I'll give you another option. The city has events all the time.
Yes, definitely.
And
all year round.
Yeah.
Yes.
Do you see a lot of young people coming to these events, the historical events, the naming of a library, the naming of this, or the statue being put up?
Not as many as that could be there. I mean,
if you have 10, that's not a lot.
Right. It's not a lot.
No. What we need to do is to get our young people in every event the city takes place. Obviously, you can't do it during the school hours, but most of these events take place after. And to have them involved in participation, whether it's putting it together or whether it's serving the public in some way, or even with the ideas. We have to start doing that because that's what's going to be the future. We have a youth bureau that's terrific. We have different church organizations and synagogue organizations.
Right.
And we have the YMCA and the YWCA and all the Slater Center, and all these organizations do their part. But that ain't enough.
Right.
Because we've got a lot of young people out there who don't take part in these functions for whatever reasons, and those are the ones we need to do. And we need to use organizations like yourselves, because I believe I got a motto: don't knock the college block.
Yes, sir.
And that's what we need to do, is to get behind you, because I think you have energy. I've known you for a number of years.
Thank you.
And you're committed, and whatever you say you're going to do, you do. You're fair. You're fair.
Yes, thank you.
And you're enterprising. You're
right. Always networking.
You're what we need.
Right.
And
always reaching out.
You can really stimulate a lot of these different colleges into getting their young people to graduate with a plan.
Yes, you got to have a plan. That's very important. Now, also, what I wanted to just give a scenario, right? Just a brief scenario. Now, I know what I would do, but if you had the power to facilitate either learning institutions versus prisons or jails, you know what I mean? Because what I've seen is a big boom as far as with the prisons and the jail systems, as far as even the employment of hiring CEOs and people that are working in the jails. And in another sense, they're laying off teachers, they're closing down schools, they're cutting music programs in schools. So if you had the power in order to change some things, what would be your view on schools versus prisons?
Okay. Well, obviously, that's an unusual question. I've never been asked that before. Prisons we want to stay away from as far as guiding our young people. We certainly, that is no hurrah.
This is true.
We want to make sure our young people don't get entrapped with gangs, with organizations, with individual greed, with laziness, which think they make a fast dollar by doing something that's against the law. And that goes for all people, not just young people.
Young people, right.
You see, I believe if we get pragmatic, if we get practical, we get down to earth with all the things we do,
right.
including government. People are tired of hearing